Hello drummers, Garey Williams here, your Drumset mastermind and creator of the Drumset Artistry Mastermind Group. Today I want to talk about live versus recording drumming. I'm sure many of you have been in a band where you've had some really awesome live shows. Then you take the music into the studio and then all of a sudden it doesn't sound so awesome. The recording experience is quite different than the live experience in many ways. Oftentimes the whole band doesn't play together, parts are tracked separately. This is a big problem if you've always played together live and you have a really great energy, and then you go into the studio and then you don't perform in the studio the way you do live, you're not going to get the same kind of vibe. This is where an honest assessment of your drumming starts to show up. You realize that without the rest of the band, maybe you don't really hold your own as well. Maybe the tune doesn't inspire you as much and you can't play it the way you would if you were playing with the rest of the guys in the band, and that's certainly the case for many drummers. However, in the studio you get a chance to really perfect your craft. You can analyze your playing on a playback. You can actually go in and make adjustments and edit things and repair parts that weren't quite as good. It turns into being something much like a book. I really like the recording experience myself. Most of the time my drums are cut live from count off to cut off, and I don't usually have to go back and do much, but occasionally I do. And I think this is a good thing to have. I mean, if you were to write a book, you wouldn't want to release the rough draft. You'd want to go back and proofread it and make some corrections and maybe do some editing and refinement. In the end, this is like an eternal piece of music. If it's put out on a CD, people will be able to listen to it many times, and so you really want your finest foot forward. And maybe you realize that your finest foot isn't quite as forward as you want, meaning you rush too much. Oh, I haven't maybe practiced with a click, so now in the studio we got an engineer that says, oh man, you guys got to track with the click, and it's certainly important to be able to do that because then other players can come in and lay down parts and you don't have any timing issues. A lot of times I'll record tracks to already pre-recorded tracks, and this can be quite challenging for drummers who are used to being the first instrument there. I've done it in just about every fashion you can imagine, and I don't know, I've been on probably over 50 commercial CDs and have spent thousands of hours in the studio. And I had my own studio back in the day, as I joke, BC, before children. And I'm getting back into this again myself, because there's nothing like going in and putting on a click and just drumming. In other words, playing beats, playing fills, working on your songs, but just spending time with a metronome. I'll give you one example. I was asked to play on a big band recording, and we had a couple of rehearsals, and I'm sight reading most of the material, and so we go in and we get all the drum sounds, we get everybody happening. And the leader of the band comes in and says, oh, by the way, we're going to record everything to a click. And I was like, yeah, because I love playing with the click. Some of the other musicians clearly did not spend very much time with metronomes because they had lots of timing problems. But the idea is they wanted to do 3 takes of every tune and then be able to cut and paste some takes from some tunes and overlap them to another one if it sounded better. Again, to sculpt and put out a really fine sounding product that's eternal. So it made sense to use the metronome. So if you don't spend time with the metronome, you're probably going to really struggle in the studio. And there's lots of ways to practice with the metronome. A lot of people just set it on a click. Well, you can set it on different subdivisions, playing against the click. Oh man, we could go on about this, having spent many hours going through lots of material with the metronome, sequence tracks, odd meter stuff. A big fan of Gavin Harrison's book, Rhythmic Illusions, and also the one Rhythmic Perspectives, and he had a DVD out years ago called Vision. So I spent massive hours going through all that beat displacement, metric modulation, polyrhythms. That certainly got me inside playing around with the metronome, so I feel extremely comfortable with the click, and I can share some of these skills that I've developed over my years of practicing if you're interested. So if you want to refine your drumming, then private message me, because this is something that I help many professionals do who really want to take their drumming to that absolute professional top-end sound. And we can do all kinds of things with your timing and every other aspect of your drumming. So when it's time, I'm here. So get a hold of me and I'll be happy to help. Otherwise, be nice to yourself, continue practicing, and hopefully you'll have a great day.